Right, hello there, my loves. Right, I said I wasn't going to do a review this week just because I haven't been well all week, but I thought, bloody hell, let's try and salvage something from this fucking disaster that it's been and do a relatively short book review. So today it's going to be Harry Harrison's The Men from P.I.G and R.O.B.O.T, motherfucker. Now, those two acronyms I will explain later. But apologies, yeah, I'm lagging a bit. That's why I look like a fucked lion today. The kind of lion that spends its whole life in captivity and should have been dead about 10 years ago. That's how I feel anyway. Right, so let's get the cover up. That's the scan of this copy. We'll look at the cover and discuss the cover first. But before all that, this edition, as you've probably noticed, is a Puffin book. So an imprint of Penguin books they're aimed at children and young adults. So there's two stories in this very thin volume. And they both seem to be aimed at this younger audience. And I don't know whether that was initially intended when Harry Harrison wrote these stories, or whether the whimsical, humorous nature of these stories were later thought, well, let's aim them at some children because no one else likes them. I don't know. But later on, there's going to be some other covers that reflect the whimsical nature of these stories. This is a 1982 edition. But it appears, well, going through the copyright information in the book, the first story concerning P.I.G. Hailed from 1967, and then the R.O.B.O.T, R.O.B.O.T contingent, that comes a bit later in 1974, but it's caboodled together into this 1982 edition. As I said before, aimed primarily at children, and if we look in the front, on the back cover there, don't know if you can see that. This came from the school library of a primary school in Hertfordshire, Kings Langley. This is a primary school, so children aged between 5 and 11. I personally don't think children of that age should be reading this, but there we are. I mean, it's relatively tame. It is quite humorous at times, but there is a little bit of gore. There's a fair bit of violence. There's gunslinging. And I'm pretty sure there's suggestion that a good number of men are completely fucked. Oh, hell, that's the bloody doorbell. Apologies, my loves. Right, that was the Amazon Prime delivery. I've ordered a wine bottle cork extractor, an automatic one, because of my crippled wrists. I can't take the corks out of fucking bottles anymore. So I've got a surrogate robot to do it for me. I'll try it out later. Right, where was I? I don't remember. Anyway, let's look at the cover. So, a lovely cover, actually. I think you'll agree. And it's by Peter Jones. Now, I've come across Peter Jones' work in the past. I was having a bit of a discussion with someone in the comments last week about Peter Jones, I think, or a few weeks ago. Yeah, I think I was saying at the time, I consider him more versatile than good old Foss. I mean, Foss is the master of the spaceships, isn't he? But when it comes to anything other than spaceships, I think he can be slightly lacking. Oh, don't say anything bad about Foss, for Christ's sake. He is the Grand Master, of course. But yeah, I think, yeah, Peter Jones, he's got a figure there, and it looks quite a dandy fellow. Now, this is roughly a depiction of one of the stories. So there's two stories in here. I've already said that. I don't know. So this is about concerning the second one, the R.O.B.O.T thing. But as ever, it's only just a depiction of that scene. I mean, he's rendered this chap here in a kind of pseudo Star Trek jumpsuit. You can almost see his genitalia again, which probably isn't brilliant for a primary school fare, but there we are. The chap in the story itself is actually described as podgy and wearing a derby hat or a bowler hat. So yeah, nothing like it. Perhaps they wanted to steer clear of the droog aesthetic. Perhaps, who knows?
What did you do that for?
For being a bastard with no manners.
But otherwise, yeah, wonderful. It grabs the eye, makes you want to read it, I suppose, if you're a young boy or a man, perhaps, because a sign of the times, of course, the men. It's all about men. So this is about a kind of humanity's galactic patrol, the way of policing humanity that have spread to the stars in various planets across the galaxy. They are stretched thin, my love. So the first page is introducing the new graduates, the ones that are just graduating and are going to be going out to police the galaxy. There's 11,000 of the devils being talked to by the commanding officer. I don't know how the hell he's doing it. It must be in a stadium of some kind. They're all men, of course, no women allowed. And so he's telling them, right, you're going to be doing some good work here. We're stretched thin, but here's 2 stories about what you might be having to do. And so this is how these 2 stories unfold. Okay, so let's begin with the first story, The Man from P.I.G. So this acronym translates to the Porcine Interstellar Guard. And it is, as you're probably imagining it, a chap or one of these patrolmen that has been ferried to this planet that has some trouble. The farmers are pissed off down there. Something's going on. There's a part of the planet that farmers have tried to occupy. They've tried to grow stuff on, and they end up being mutilated. And so he's come here to sort this out, this patrolman. But he's not doing it alone. He's doing it with a herd of pigs, my loves. But not just any ordinary pigs. Various different breeds of pig. We've also got some boars as well. But they've all been genetically enhanced. And so these pigs are very intelligent. They obey commands. And he can almost have conversations. They can't talk back, but they understand what they want, what he wants them to do, kind of thing. He encounters the local populace don't really like him, and some of them are eyeing up some of his pigs. I think they want to spit roast the devils, let's put it that way. I don't think they want to fuck them, but they want to eat them potentially. Fuck, sorry. But these pigs are having none of it. I mean, they can look after themselves. But yeah, they are complete units. Some of them are really strong indeed. And so the first story is about this patrolman and his pigs trying to work out this mystery of why this particular part of the planet, or a nearby plateau outside of the immediate colony, has this mysterious thing going on. I won't tell you what it is. It's aliens. But that's all I'm saying. There is an outside force at play here. But I really enjoyed it. I was getting ready to have this whole book served up as one of my so shit is brilliant kind of books. But it's actually... I found it was intended to be humorous, and it was actually quite enjoyable to read. It didn't make me laugh, of course, but it perhaps smile. Yeah, smile, and it was quite inventive in a slightly ridiculous way, but almost believable at the same time. And I loved the interactions he had with his pigs. You know, one of them was particularly intelligent, more intelligent than the other pigs, but would become slightly more skittish and neurotic because it was too intelligent for its own good, for example. And then he had a couple of absolute units that were more like wild boars, and they would do the heavy lifting and eviscerating if needed. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one. The second story is the larger part of the book. So the first one only goes to, let's have a look here. Well, actually, saying that, yeah, they're roughly half and half. But I think the second one, The Man from R.O.B.O.T, is slightly longer, or it felt longer. Let's put it that way. I enjoyed the P.I.G one more. What does R.O.B.O.T stand for? Well, this acronym has been slightly crowbarred together, let's put it that way. So this one stands for Robot Obtrusion Battalion Omega 3 to get the OT on the end. And so this is a similar scenario whereby a patrolman has been sent out alone, but not alone. Instead of being accompanied by a herd of pigs, he's got a varied swarm of robots. On this planet, he encounters a very hostile local population. I know the farmers were slightly hostile towards the pig swain and all of that, but on this planet, they are outright murderous, really. The first thing they want to do, well, they tell him to get the fuck off their planet, first of all. But then after that, it becomes slightly more malicious. They're trying to off the devil. And he realizes that a man went missing. I think that's why he's there. A man doing like an ordnance survey of this planet went missing about 8 months ago. And his ship, or the artificial intelligence in his ship, tells him that this chap's spaceship has been buried under the ground nearby on the airfield, or the spaceport, rudimentary spaceport. And so, yeah, that was quite a nice way to begin it. I thought, well, what the hell's going on here? The other thing is, these people are, by their own choice, it would seem, they're living like the old Wild West, really, frontier kind of thing. They're purposely holding back technology so that they can ride around, pretend to be cowboys, perhaps, and they raise beef cattle and ship the beef meat to a neighboring planet that's a high technology planet, and in return they get various things like drugs and weapons. Mostly they are hell-bent on protecting their herds and killing each other, that kind of thing. So this patrolman, aided by various sorts of robots, is trying to again solve the mystery of why the population seems so distrustful of one another. Let's put it that way. Now, I really thought this was very inventive, actually. His swarm of varied robots is quite miraculous. He's got quite large ones that are kind of humanoid in shape and quite beefy metal machines, shall we say. And we've got very tiny ones, little probes that fritter around. And so he's able to send swarms of robots to observe the movements of certain individuals. You can send robots down to tunnel under to open up this spaceship that's been buried. It's quite quite clever, really, because this patrolman he's quite disgruntled, really. He doesn't really get on very well with the robots or the artificial intelligence that guides them. So he's kind of always berating them, and he's saying that the last tunnel you dug almost caved in, you bastard, kind of thing. So this time the robots are like, well, check this shit out. So the tunnel they dig to get to this other spaceship, they line with like holographic views of pleasant countryside and piped music, and it's quite clever, but wonderful, utopian ideal in terms of like robot aided life, really. Whenever he wants a slap up meal, he just asks them, and within seconds it's there, like a perfectly cooked steak or whatever. But anyway, yeah, so this again is a kind of solving a mystery, really, why the population have gone a bit berserk. When you find out, it is kind of interesting, but I certainly won't spoil that one for you. But the long and the short of it is, I think I really enjoyed these stories. I was quite prepared to banish them to the bog of eternal stench, but I won't be doing that. Let's get the book down and give it a damn good thrashing, my loves. So out of 5, I'm going to surprise myself here. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. Yeah, so Harry Harrison, I think it's the second one I've read of his now. What was the other one? Plague from Space. Yeah, that was a bit more ridiculous, that one, but still entertaining. But I really enjoyed this. Should it have been read by children back in the 80s? I don't know. But, we were made from harder stuff back in the 80s. Perhaps it was all right. I don't know. But I would have tried to have read that as a child. I don't know if I would have been capable, though, because I was pretty crap at reading in primary school. But there we are. Anyway, there we are. Harry Harrison. I'm going to try and find some more of his books. If you've got any more suggestions for me, I think I've got the Deaf World trilogy, and by all accounts, that's not very good, is it? But but anyway, any other suggestions, please do give them to me. Now I'm going to take myself off to bed and potentially die. Anyway, thanks for watching, my loves, and see you soon. Thank you for watching. Cheerio.